presenter with the 2702 Rebels, and today we are going to be talking about, this is our second part of our interviewing series. This is what to bring to an interview. So I'm going to just pull up my presenter view here, and let's get started. This is a 4-part series. We did part 1 last week. We talked about writing your application, cover letter, and resume. And so we are done part 1. Yay! Let's get on to part 2. So today we're going to talk about basically being overall prepared for your interview. And then next week, we're going to talk about virtual interviews and the differences between virtual interviews and in-person interviews. And then our last session together, we're going to we're going to talk to a judge from FIRST, and we're going to talk a little bit about in-person interviews and when you attend competitions. I am super excited about that. So in our last presentation, we discussed, let me go right to the next one. We talked about how important it is to track your experiences, and you can track them digitally or on paper. You need to do your research, super, super important. You also want to be, sorry, I'm going to stop this for a second because it's going to get really loud and it's going to repeat something. What's this? Okay. We talked a little bit about keeping it simple. That is very, very important. We talked about soft skills and what they are and how we discuss them in our cover letters and resumes. We talked about the difference between cover letters, resumes, and CVs. And we went into detail about filling in an application, doing a resume and a cover letter. So this time around, we are going to talk a little bit about why interviewing and preparation is so important. We're going to talk about why it is super, super important to read your content. So what you put in your application, what you put in your resume, what you put in your cover letter before you go into an interview. You want to be prepared. You want to know what you've said. You want to understand what you're applying for. And so you're going to do more research. You're going to, just like we discussed before this presentation started, you want to have answers, questions prepped ahead of time. Super, super important. It's going to make you feel well prepared for your interview. We're going to talk about what the STAR method is and some examples of that. And then we're going to talk about putting it all together. So why is interviewing so important? Basically, you will interview many times in your life, and it's important to get into good habits in your teen years because once you get into these good habits, then the habits that you get into are going to take you all the way through interviewing as you get older, because you're going to do interviews many, many times. So I'm curious here. I'm just going to open up the chat. What are some ways or what do we interview for? So just give me a couple of examples. You can type it in the chat and I'll just read it out loud. What kind of interviews do we do? Let's see what people type. Oh yeah, job interviews, excellent, perfect. What other interviews do you do? There's more than just job interviews. See if anybody gets any other ones. I'm gonna give you about 5 more seconds, and we're gonna move on. Co-op interviews, there you go, awesome, thank you. Yeah, we have a couple of them. Yeah, we've got job interviews. You may also do some volunteering as you go through life, and you may have an opportunity to volunteer for that or to do an interview for volunteer experiences. There are some universities and colleges that do post-secondary application interviews. And so you want to kind of be prepared for those. If you are involved in your very actively involved with your team with FRC, you may do interviews with judges at competitions. You have student-teacher interviews, which you want to get comfortable, just talking to people, and there's many, many more that we do. So practice is super, super important. So I found a really cute 1-minute video just to motivate everybody to talk about why practice is so important. So I'm just going to click here and get this video started.
When I went to school and saw everyone writing, I'm so thankful that I went to a mainstream school and was writing with my friends around me. And, we all obviously doing it for this first time. Obviously not everyone's handwriting is perfect. And of course, we're going to call my writing foot writing, right? But people are amazed, like, Nick, you write really neat. Well, practice makes perfect, doesn't it? And now, even as a speaker, every time I speak, I get better and better and better. And I'm not the best. I know I'm not the best. There are always ways that we can get better and better at things, especially within our profession or even in our relationships and our friendships. I want to be a better person, not just a better speaker. I want to be a better person that my friends and the people around me, they know that I care for them and love them. So whatever it is, whether it's relationships or attaining a goal or something, practice makes perfect.
Yeah, so I like, and when I was younger, my father, who's actually, he's a psychology professor, he would always say to me, practice makes perfect. And as a teenager, I never liked to hear that. But it really is true. Whether you're practicing something physical, so whether you're practicing how to take, a wrench and tightening screws up, you want to get that muscle memory in, but actually practicing talking, like practicing for a job interview is like everything you practice, you're just going to get better. That's just the way life goes. So we talked about this, this little table before, and we talked about the difference between cover letter, resume, and CV. So I just wanted to throw this up there so you could see kind of what the differences are. And if you want more information about those differences, you can always go back and watch the first video. Let's see what's going here. So, but this brings me to that it's really, really important before you even walk into your interview that you've read through what you've written down, what you've said about yourself. Because often interviews are testing you. They actually want to make sure that what you wrote in your application, in your cover letter, in your resume is actually something that you've done. So it's really important. You want to be prepared. You want to talk about giving examples of something that you've written about. And also remember, think about the fact that people love a good story. So if you have a really funny story, a little anecdote or something that goes along with something you've written, remember those, maybe write that down for yourself. Ask a family or friend to help you as well, because like you said, practice does make perfect. You also want to understand what you're applying for. And when it comes to a job, you want to understand the company that you're applying to. And so in this particular case, Google is your friend. You can try using some common keyword searches to help you really understand kind of what the company is all about. Something when you're applying for a job, in order to stand out, think about Googling the company's value proposition. This is basically what separates the company from other companies. So how they are different, because the more you can talk about how great that company is and why you think you fit in, the better chance there is that, you may move ahead and get a second interview. So anyway, the other thing you want to do is you want to, in there, there's like an information section when you apply for something, whether it is a scholarship, whether it's a job, whether it's like anything you apply for, there's often little keywords. There's little words that give you clues on what they're looking for. And so you want to kind of pick those out. Think about using our buzzwords from last week. So think about collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity. And those are just like specific words if you can pull those in as you're thinking about why you think you fit with this particular position that you're applying for or application or role, whatever it is. Think about those. In between last week's and this week, I did a little bit of research and I found there's actually 2 more C's. Oh my gosh, I was so excited about this. So there's our 4 C's, which like I said, is collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity. But you may also want to think about the 2 other words that they've got here. So there's character. So think about who you are as a person, what you stand for. And there's also citizenship. Think about how you yourself can be a good citizen and show that when you meet the person for the first time. So just a couple of buzzwords to think about. So like we talked about before in our previous session, you often could apply for things directly online. And so there's just one example of if you wanted to apply for Tim Hortons, applying for like other positions. So for example, in FIRST, there was just the STEMathon, and the STEMathon had all the information right on their website. You even filled out a Google form to get to apply for it. But you want to read all that stuff first, just to make sure that when you're filling things in that you're putting in the right position. So this brings us to now you are ready for your interview. You've handed in your cover letter, you've given them your information, and they call you back and they say, we want to meet you. So these are the sorts of things you want to think about as you are getting ready for your interview. So you want to read information ahead of time. You want to make sure what you've written down and you're kind of aware of that. There are so many questions. If you type in interview questions, you will find hundreds of interview questions, different questions. And you can even search by like the kind of organization that you're applying for. You can look for that. So what you want to do is you want to kind of find a number of interview questions, and then you want to make up the answers. And you want to do them in bullet points so that you're not writing down, you're not going to memorize a paragraph of an answer of what you're going to say. You just want to create those quick bullet points to remind yourself. If you print them off and put them in a really fancy folder and bring the folder with you, you are going to look so professional. So that's just a little tip for that. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what the STAR method is. And the STAR method is an acronym. So it stands for situation, task, action, and result. And so, like I said, the S stands for situation, T stands for task, A stands for action, and R stands for result. So first, you want to describe the situation. Second of all, you want to give examples of the task. You want to talk about the action that you took, and you want to share the results of your actions. I have a very short video. I'm just going to, should just be able to start this video, should I not? Oh, nice. Here we go. So I should just be able to push the button and it's going to start watching the video where I wanted it to, right? Maybe not.
Employers will generally us. So how do you demonstrate that you are ready for the job? The STAR method for answering those questions gets to the heart of what you actually did in a previous role, how you did it, and what you accomplished as a result. You should use the STAR method to describe your former assignments, duties, and accomplishments, which will help a potential employer understand how you approach tasks and resolve challenges in a variety of situations. You want to be thorough in your answers and qualify and quantify your experience if possible. First is the situation, where you provide the context and background for your example. Next is the task. Describe the objective, issue, or challenge relating to the question that the interviewer asked. Follow by explaining the action you took to reach the objective or resolve the issue. And end with the result. Share what happened and the impact of your actions. Let's look at an example together. Tell me about a time when you had trouble working with a coworker, manager, or group member. Here is a not so great answer where the candidate uses the STAR method ineffectively. I had an access project to complete with other students in class. One student didn't want to contribute, which was frustrating. I talked to them and we worked together to come up with a solution. We ultimately completed the project successfully. Here is a better answer using the STAR method. In my database systems class, I was assigned a 3-week-long group access project with 6 other students. The assignment included a written essay detailing our approach and result. One student was extremely reluctant to contribute to the essay because he wasn't confident in his writing skills. He and I collaborated and communicated to assign him tasks that he felt more comfortable and confident completing. After this, the group worked together efficiently, and every part of the project was successfully completed thanks to the team effort. Notice the differences in the answers. The better answer offers qualified and detailed responses in each section, and quantified where applicable to create a clear vision for the hiring manager and to show that a deadline was set and achieved.
Okay, so that was just a little example of how you can use the STAR method. I'm going to let that sink in for a little bit because that may be something that you haven't considered before. So I'll let you read another example that I found online. And you can see how they broke it down between the situation, task, action, and result. So I'll just give you a moment to read that in your head. So one of the things I noticed, just like the video said, you need to qualify and quantify. And so they used a lot of like numbers in here. So they talked about, a committee of 10 people, and they, said that they raised $5,000, which is a 20% increase over top. So they gave qualitative and quantitative information in their answers, which is super, super important. That's going to set you apart, whether you're interviewing. There's something called Dean's List, which is an opportunity for students to apply for an award through FIRST. Anytime you can give detailed information that helps to qualify and quantify what you've done, thinking about the STAR method is just going to be way, way better. And it's really important. You're going to need to practice this a lot. So you want to set aside a lot of time to think about how you would evaluate. So if you've got your question, your bullet answers, and then how you would break it apart into that STAR acronym approach. So we're going to put this all together. When you are ready for your interview, you're going to print off a copy of your resume and your cover letter. You're going to look professional. You're going to look presentable. You want to come looking like you're prepared. So with extra paper, a pencil, or a pen. Your device, you're welcome to bring that. I personally wouldn't put it on the table, and I would put it in silent mode. So just keep it, in a bag or something like that. And bring that fancy folder that has your questions and your bullet point answers, and you're going to look really, really organized. So next time we're together, we're going to talk about virtual interviews. And I've just put a couple of the ideas that we're going to be discussing in our next presentation. So I'll just let you read those. We've also got somebody from Human Resources that's going to talk to us a little bit about these kind of concepts as well. So it's not just me telling you. And now I'll give everybody an opportunity to ask questions. Okay. I don't see any questions right now. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to end the live stream, and we will keep talking after that. But thank you, everybody, for coming. I appreciate you coming out and checking.